Peace, quickly think fast. Just because we're practicing fearlessness, or just because you're practicing fearlessness in general, So say, for instance, with being one with Source, it's about practicing fearlessness. It's also about being, expanding the comfort zone. So usually when you find something that you may be scared of or uncomfortable with, it's usually something to step to the plate and be like, if I'm fearful of oranges, I need to. Matter of fact, if I'm fearful of oranges without trying them, I need to at least interact with an orange and see, what's going on. So, it's a to an extent, it's about confronting your fears. But say, for instance, if I'm being fearless, and I know a stove is hot, I'm not gonna say, well, I'm practicing fearlessness, so let me put my hand on that hot stove, even though I know that stove is hot. It's like, nah, that's not practicing fearlessness. That's practicing stupidity at that point. It's like the reason why I'm bringing this up because I had a situation where I was walking, and I walked in a different direction, to avoid some energy. And part of the the little battle between ego and heart, where I was like, well, no, you shouldn't be dodging nobody. And then, and then that higher self really spoke and was like, well, no, you're not dodging anybody. Like, if there's a fire in a certain place, and why walk through the fire, if you know that there's a a route that doesn't have fire where, you're not going to burn, you know what I'm saying? Then why not take that route, you know? Like, the fearlessness is not a thing. Because, too, practicing fearlessness could be a thing of the ego, like, yeah, let me do this so I could identify, like, beat on my chest, I'm fearless, type of vibe. It's like, not necessarily, again, because that's when the ego could take the, hop into the spiritual experience and take it away from being a connection with source, with your higher self. But, with practicing fearlessness is not on no, well, yeah, I just gotta jump off a bridge. Somebody challenged me to say, you bet you won't cross the street while these cars passing. That doesn't mean you have to run across the street just to display fearlessness. That's just you just doing something, again, like feeling like, all right, for these people to identify with me as a fearless person, I gotta do what they challenge me to do. It's like, nah, when you're being fearless in your actions and what you do, you don't have to necessarily jump through little hoops just to prove it to yourself, which you're not really proving it to yourself as much as you're proving it to your ego or others. Your ego is identification, and it's identifying with things outside of you. But again, the fearlessness doesn't mean you have to go around looking for a fight, in essence. Basically, it's like just because you lift those spiritual weights, you're doing your spiritual weight work, and doesn't mean you have to look for somebody to knock out now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and as above, so below. We do that on all levels. Or we have the urge to do that. Our human nature is like, all right, I just finished, or I just got this information. I done became woke. So now let me look for some unwoke people to bash in the brain with my intellectual information, about being woke. It's like, nah, just because you just got the information don't mean you now become a teacher for everybody and you just got to walk around forcefully teaching everybody. Same thing with any path of our spirituality, again, with the fearlessness. Just because we're practicing fearlessness doesn't mean you see some people and you see some people and you could tell, like, their energy, like, man, even though I'm in a high vibration, these people are gonna, mess with me or do something. So since I'm fearless, I'm gonna just walk through them anyway. It's like, nah, now you indirectly you asking for a fight in essence, and not practicing true fearlessness. In that moment, you just your ego done trick you into the fearless vibe. Like, your ego done trick you into saying, like, oh yeah, I'm fearless in this situation, when it's more so of your ego or that pain body. The pain body spoken of in the Power of Now, or just in a lot of books where it's like that part of your ego that's looking for a grudge match, to energy exchange back and forth, to ping pong some energy back and forth. But it's not necessarily a thing of the soul, so much. So that's just something, I want to share, just because we're practicing fearlessness, you don't just, it's not like truth or dare, like, because you're practicing fearlessness, anytime somebody challenge, like, hey, you got to do this, this shows that you're courageous, or this, it's not about that. It's just, the fearlessness is more of just realizing to, expand your comfort zone for sure, but more so is just being fearless at all the things you do. But it doesn't mean to be fearless in a manner of like, all right, we just gotta look for all kind of things that I may be fearful of and do them. And there's a thin line between that and growing spiritually, because I speak to that in a lot of videos where I'm like, if you're finding yourself being fearful of certain things, challenge yourself to to break out of that fear, But that doesn't mean that if I'm trying to get over a fear of spiders, that I'm gonna just go straight into a spider's nest, on the first day of me trying to get over that fear, like, nah, you gotta gradually walk through that fear, you know what I'm saying? You don't just walk in the lion's den, trying to say like I'm getting over this fearfulness, and you still kind of got the vibe of being scared, you gotta walk your way into it. You gotta go to a petting zoo and pet a baby lion first. Before you just walk into a cage with, a lion, that could feel a little bit of that fear within you, So again, it's a constant growth of challenging yourself, of course, but you're not being blindly naive with challenging yourself. You're not just like, all right, I need to work on, I'm fearful of water, so I'm just gonna jump in the ocean with no life jacket. Like, that's the part where it doesn't make sense. And of course, a lot of us may come down here on our physical experience to challenge ourselves to the fullest, but just remember that it's about smart work, not hard work. And when we're challenging ourselves, we want to be smart about it, and not going through the old construct of, well, it just gotta be hard. Gotta be extremely tough, even if it could basically kill me and defeat the purpose. It still gotta be extremely, and again, to each his own on our spiritual path. I never like to feel like, like what I speak on is something for everybody to act upon, or, like, of course, generally speaking, this information is for everybody, but, you never know. Some people might work better where, if they fear fire, for instance, they like putting their hand on the stove for hours is or setting themselves on fire might be the way they get over their fear of fire, let's just say, but for the most part, from what I experienced on my journey and what I see would be the smarter way to deal with it would be to just not throw yourself to the wolves or into the gauntlet, so to speak, but at the same time challenge yourself to grow, and expand that comfort zone. So again, if you find yourself, pushing yourself too hard in a fearless situation, stop for a second and ask yourself, do you really need to push yourself through this? Is this the ego that attach yourself to your spiritual walk and like, yeah, you gotta go all the way to the extreme to, to break out of the fearful place? Is it that ego speaking, or is it, coming from the heart? Because again, the situation was like a certain energy. It's like I don't even want to pass by it. Then my ego, but speaking through a spiritual face, is like, oh, well, you gotta practice fearlessness. So that means you gotta deal with, the situation, even if the energy is gonna throw off your energy. Like that little voice. Subtly loud. I always speak about that subtly loud voice of the higher self, came through and was like, no, you don't. Like, why why jump into a fire when you're just getting over a fear of fire? Why jump into the ocean when you're, getting over a fear of water? That's just why I go through the extreme of something when you're just taking the first steps of it. Again, you wanna be fearless, but not to the level of harming the mind, body, and soul. And again, we all different on our walks, but that's something that I just peep from my own experience and just in life in general. Well, again, like when you're challenging yourself, you don't challenge yourself to a certain extreme where it defeats the purpose. Again, getting over fear of fire, setting myself on fire wouldn't be the smartest thing to do if I don't know how to channel pain away or do certain things dealing with it. Then I'm gonna just drop dead and not really be able to practice fearlessness at all. So just always keep that in mind. That's basically it. Peace. Happy now. Now is the vibe rate, the rate at which we're vibing. Not too far in the future, not too far in the past. Right now.